Hello, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk and a review of the brand new B.U.G.I. The B.U.G.I. One of the weirdest names, actually. One of the weirdest names in the game. I was going to say some of the letters and alphabet soup ones are weird. This is just strange. B.U.G.I. It's kind of like TOG, right? The old gang. Sort of actually is because it's the initials of the four guys that were making this thing. Kind of wacky. Was developed, got pretty far along in planning, was starting to be accepted by the Polish army, and then World War II happened, and it did not happen. But it happened here. It happened here. It is a Tier 6 Polish medium tank on the new line. Tier 6, right after the old Tier 5. I did the review on that, so you can take a look at that, the DSPZINZ, if you want. I will have the Tier 7 out pretty soon. I'm on the Tier 8 right now. So there you go, overview. Rounded-ish turret. As far as having curves, not a great turret. Decent depression at -8. Some angled armor, but not very thick. So this thing is really not going to do a whole bunch of bouncing. It's very long, so it's hard to hide behind things, especially sideways, because parts of it will stick out of the B.U.G.I. As far as weak spots, it does have this little tumor here, but you're not going to have much trouble pinning it just about anywhere you want on this thing. There you go, and for the overview, there's not much to say really about the old B.U.G.I. We're going to look at the tech tree, we'll look at the 3D model, do a comparison amongst some of its peers, take a look at my stats, my setup, and a game or two. So let's get started with the tech tree. Well, first things first, there's something that's been buggying me about this, this tank since I figured it out. It's actually not this tank, it's the line. It's 4 crew members, all in the same positions for this whole line once you split off of the 14 TP. That's great. Good job, Wargame. The commander is the radio operator for everything except for one tank. The Tier 8 switches the radio operator to the loader, which is really annoying if you're moving crews. So just warning, you're going to have to throw a little gold at them or accept the loss of some experience. Or if you're planning on taking the crew onto the 59, maybe just ignore that fact. The skill won't work until you get it into the 59. I don't know. You're going to have to play that one by ear. Another good point that was brought up on my last review, which I had forgotten about, I talked about the crew trainer only being the Pudel, but in fact, if you switch your Rudy to the Poles, which right now that's the only tank that does that, it can either be Soviet, it can either be Russian or Polish, then you have another crew trainer for your Polish crews, and I believe they have the same positions as these, so it works out pretty nicely. So we're going to take a look at the B.U.G.I. itself. The Tier 5 and Tier 6, I did not grind the modules. All right, I used free experience up here, I unlocked them, and I put all the top modules on it. The interesting thing about the B.U.G.I. is that it has this 100mm gun that it can run around with, and this gun is interesting because it's 410 average damage or 300, depending on whether you're running HE or pen or AP. But the pen is a little bit low, but not bad at 168. The problem with this gun is look at the dispersion, 0.5 to start with. It's not quite a derp. It's just a great big inaccurate cannon that has a derp round, but it's also got a decent AP round for a Tier 6 tank. I think that in general, this is kind of what makes this tank. It's a bit of a niche tank, a bit of a meme tank, if you will. Not quite a KV2 idea, but similar in that this gun is probably what makes the tank. I ran the 90mm, which had some really good pen at 156 and 198 with gold, and still did 240 alpha. So right here at Tier 6 is where you start to get that higher alpha Polish thing going on with the mediums on this line, which is kind of their calling card. And it's got a lot better dispersion at 0.4. The difference in that is amazing. But if you can manage to make this one work, that's probably where this tank will really shine. Otherwise, it's pretty average. I can't tell you what it was like with the stock stuff down here because I unlocked everything. And we'll talk about its zippiness and its mobility and stuff later on. But that's the tech tree considerations. Let's look at the 3D model. Here it is in tanks.gg. What's interesting about the Polish tanks is the armor sort of looks good, but once you look at the layout, it's pretty atrocious. So you look at the numbers, you go, all right, that's in the ballpark, should be useful, or maybe, I don't know. But look at the rounded turret, maybe I can get some, Russian-esque bounces off of it. But so far, up to the Tier 5 and 6 so far, not so much. I mean, look at this. You're just talking about 100, and nearly anything at Tier 6 is somewhere around 100. pen. If you're not careful, especially with tier 8s, you may get HE pen that's somewhere around there. I got absolutely nukified in this thing multiple times with decent pen HE rounds, especially on the side where it's only 40. Now, that's a problem for nearly any tier 6 tank, but it's just a pretty large target. It's got a lot of flat here, big turret tumor on top from the side. Even from the front, though, it's not very much. You can tell if you get the right angle, you can get some ricochet or some auto bounces, but you know, you'd be hard pressed to hit that from this angle. You're really going to be aiming at this big flat bottom part, and then once you're straight on or slightly looked down, it's just all Pensville. It's just Pensville. I mean, you're taking damage with this thing. What you're hoping to do is trade better with 240 alpha, managing your relatively long reload, and then coming back out and trading 240 for their 135 or whatever that little gun at tier 6 is facing you, or punishing bigger tanks and avoiding the big hit back with 240 from a little tier 6 medium. So not much else to say as far as the armor profile in this thing. Digging into the comparison, you can see I've got the buggy there with the some of the more common tech tree tier 6 mediums, the Easy 8, the 3045, both iconic, the Cromwell, the 3001D, which is an underrated tier 6, the 40TP, which is the other medium at tier 6 with the Polish, and then the Cheeto thrown there as well. What you'll notice is it's the same gun on the 40TP and on the buggy, 240 alpha and 156 pen standard right there. As a matter of fact, if you get down to the accuracy, they're both at 0.38, and the loading time, rate of fire 7.54, and slightly faster on the 40TP. But you can see it owns an alpha, and it's got really nice pen for the standard. Plus, its gold round is in the 190 regime, which is very nice. So you're not going to have much trouble dealing with higher tier stuff with this. It's just the rest of the package is not that great. Relatively slow firing. Look at that 7. I mean, it's well down there. All these other tanks are pew pew pew, much lower alpha, but shooting a lot faster. Gun traverse speed is okay. It's a little bit on the slow side. -8 is comfortable, but not great. You'd really rather have -10 in this game, but it's right along with the rest of them, so it's not too much of a limfac. Aiming time is okay at 2.49, but it's a bit longer than the rest. So it does take a while to aim in. It takes a while to load. It takes a while to aim in. And with an accuracy of 0.38, which is about the worst of the bunch right here, it does just really require you to be very patient with your shots, all right? And it hurts to miss with it when you're taking on an Easy 8 or a 3045 or the rest of them, because they're going to shoot you a couple times while you're trying to reload in this thing. They're going to have no trouble penning as well. Survivability, it is sitting there at, where's the hit points? 840, which is on the high end, not too bad. I didn't realize the Cheeto was 920. That's hilarious. There's the armor, 55, probably one of the lowest of the lot. The turret looks good at 100, but effectively it's not very amazing. Some of the others are a little bit better in that regard. The speed is okay. The speed is okay. It's doing 55, so it's not the top. It's not Cromwell fast, but it's zinging along. It's not too bad at all on its mobility. It's got okay traverse speed, but overall it's a little bit sluggish as far as traverse and turret turning compared to some of these others on the list right here. Come down to concealment, it's one of the worst, kind of a big tank at tier 6, and then it's got a 360 view range, which is, you know, even with most of them down there, there's a couple with 10 more. Overall, what would we say out of this? Really, this thing's calling card is a hard-hitting gun with good pen, but it struggles a bit to put enough rounds down range. And I didn't talk about the DPM. This is interesting. At 1810, it is, I believe, the lowest other than the 40TP. So as a general rule, the balancing considerations for wargaming is a higher alpha gun is generally going to have a lower DPM. Not always, but generally. And this thing does suffer in the DPM. That's what I talked about a little earlier. When you trade with this thing, you want to trade your 240 for their 135, but not let them get another 135 or 2 into you while you're reloading. So it does require some care. Whereas sometimes in an Easy 8 or a Cromwell, you will circle someone or jump out and just start shooting those rounds downrange, 2 or 3 before they get a reload, depending on the tier and how long the reload is. You can't really do this with the buggy. That's not the same play style. You need to be a little bit more, you need to have a little more consideration about where you're laying your rounds in. And then because the gun is a little derpy, a little inaccurate, you're going to have to be even more careful. break, break, put that big gun on there, it's even worse. So I played it probably twice with that big gun, and it was awful. So I got rid of it. I think there's quite a few people playing it because it can be devastating at tier 6 if you're careful. All right, let's move on to the comparison. Or sorry, what are we doing? I don't know the stat. How did I end up with this in this thing? How did I end up with this thing? I have no idea because I bought it. Here it is, 23 battles. One thing that is very true right now is it is so easy to grind, especially low tiers, with all the times this, times that, times 5 coupon mission things you can get. We had a XP weekend where you could drop 30,000 experience in a single battle after you did a few missions. You have personal reserves. The lists go on, and crew reserves, all that, or not crew, but clan reserves. Holy cow. 23 battles. Now remember, that was from fully upgraded, no modules done. It would have taken me a few more battles if I had to do the modules. So I zipped through it pretty quick. 765 average XP is okay at tier 6. 48% win rate. Didn't do too great right there. There's the accuracy issue. This needs to be in the mid 70s before you start really pulling that 50% or above victory rate. So I either need to be a little bit more careful or get some better RNG. No, I need to you have to be more careful with this gun than I was. Damage and destruction ratio are good. Armor use is okay. That means you get the occasional bounce with an armor use efficiency at that low down there. 1100 damage is decent, and 336 average for assistance. My spotted is 157. Quick look at the 40 TP, which is the other medium Polish. I did 39 battles and got 56% in that one. And you can see it's less on the damage and less on the assistance. The damage and destruction ratio are pretty similar, but there's that 70%. I'd really rather that be 75. That's sometimes hard to do at tier 6. You just have more inaccurate guns, but I'd rather it be 75. And I'm pulling a 56% win rate, so that aligns better. I'm doing a little better in damage down here, so with such a low sample size, that's really a difference of 2 or 3 more wins in that 23, and it looks good, right? I'm at 55 or 56, somewhere in there like that. So did decently in it, just didn't manage to get above 50. This will be thrown into my 100 battle challenge list, and I'll eventually get 100 battles in the buggy once I can stomach it. All right, let's look at my setup. So setups are getting interesting right now. This review is coming out after 1.10 dropped. We have a lot of new equipment, and people are figuring it out. This is one of the tanks I decided to test the improved rotation mechanism. I don't know, frankly, unfortunately, if that's the best thing to put on this tank. I'm just going to throw that out there. I had optics and a gun rammer, and it's very possible that's what I used. So I can't give you great advice right now on what you should be using. Maybe the improved vents would have helped me out a little bit more. Really, all this thing does, shooting-wise, is give you a bonus to your dispersion during vehicle movement. So that's a little bit of that snapshot thing. Since this tank doesn't really snapshot, that may not be the best piece of equipment to put right there. And I don't think it has a vert stab capability. Plus, you've got things to worry about whether your little slot is getting the bonus. So this part of my reviews, and it's going to take me a while to figure this out, is going to be a little bit more in depth in the future, because builds are going to be a little bit more important. So I would be interested in what other people use, if you want to throw that down in the comments down there. I think potentially vents would have been better than the rotation system. I think gun rammer is pretty much mandatory still. And then this is also kind of to taste. Generally, the vision game's pretty important, so I had optics thrown on there as well. So unfortunately, I can't give you a really good, solid, this is what you should use. I'm just going to tell you what I used. I had 12 APCR on the tank, and I believe that was 198 pin. That's pretty good for a tier 6 medium. Holy cow. Large kits, and I didn't run any food. I also did not run any directives for the 23 battles. This is similar to the crew I had. I've actually moved the crew on to the CS53, but it was a similar crew, and they've gained some more experience as they go. This is a new crew that I built in here, and I'm using, I think, in the Rudy or something to that effect to start building up another Polish crew. It's nice to bring your crew all the way through, but once you get to the tier 10, now all the Polish tanks below, if you want to play them, you don't have a crew for them anymore. So now I'm kind of in the process of building the new crews in there as well. So that's pretty much my setup. Let's take a look at some examples of gameplay. First example, I'm going to give you two. I'm just going to show you the big derpy gun. This is about halfway through my grind on this. I said I was actually streaming and we were talking about it. I said, you know what, let's try the derpy gun on this thing and see what it can do. And someone's asking, what is a buggy? I said, well, in this game, a limb fac. In this particular match, an albatross. So we're going to head off this way, initially anyway. I'm not seeing a whole lot of help. You can see it's a shorter barrel right there. And look at the dispersion, it's quite large. I'm trying to get away from this arty. Decent speed, there you go. So cruising along uphill at about 30. Was headed downhill pretty quickly. Just try to check the accuracy of it. It does have decent shell velocity actually, and I think I'm shooting the HE here. Shell 785 is a little bit slow, I guess, but it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of drop like some of the derps down here at tier 6. So I'm just kind of randomly trying to see if I get lucky. Don't really expect any of those to hit, but you never know with RNG. Going to head back over this way. We've got a CS44. Don't want to run into the 3002. And I'm starting to think, you know what, I'm starting to think, self, yes, you do not really want to be here. This is not for you. Now let's see if we can get this. Here we go. Just zoom into it. Boom. Oh no, that did nothing. And we took a hit. So the turret, not so much. Is that where I got hit? Not really sure. Hard to tell. Where did I get hit? Sometimes you just can't tell. You know what I mean? Don't know. I assume it was the turret there. Oh, geez. CS44. Another shot. Oh, right over the top. Hey, look, a bounce. That's that curvature and a weird angle. So I got lucky. Now I've got to bail out of here. Got to bail out of here. And I just wanted to show you this because of the goofiness of the accuracy of the gun. The other thing about the gun, which is interesting, it's only 410 or so HE average damage. Is that what it's showing here? That's not really a lot. I think that's what the Jumbo is running around with. And that's what I kind of felt like it would be. It would be like a Jumbo. The problem is there's no armor on it like the Jumbo has. Right? The Jumbo has some surprisingly decent, not amazing, but surprisingly decent armor on it. Here we go. We just get hit again by the Super Hellcat. Watch this. Zoom, zoom, zoom. We'll just like, boom. Nope. Nope, not even close. He dies. That's a good thing. And we will move on. So that armor's nice because you can kind of get that derp in people's face, get up and close and personal to your work, blap them, and depending on the tier and whatnot, you can have a reasonable expectation of bouncing something, but not so much with the buggy, even though I did luck out and bounce a 300 alpha. That is the tier 7 that hit me, the CS44. I will have a review on that, and it ups from 240 on your alpha up to 300, which is really impressive on a tier 7. 240 is pretty cool on a tier 6. There's not really anything else that does that isn't a heavy. But 300 at tier 7 is also very nice. So when you can get those rounds down range and pen and hit and stay in the game, it can be pretty dang amazing. But I think some of the negatives from these things are going to hurt you trying to get that done. So let's see as I get the buggy up here and see if I can't quite get a shot. And then it's all blocked right here. So now we need to fade back into the dunes. And now we're going to try out the HE. So let's see what we can do. We got some heavies down here. We should be able to chuck some HE into their face potentially. The T29. There we go. So KV3, right? All right, we'll just look how long it takes to zoom in. And then the dispersion is still giant. That was fully zoomed in. Giant dispersion, that was a miss. All right. Oh, here we go. We're going to get some serious damage. We do 36 to a heavily armored turret. Oh, that was the side of the turret. Does that turret have that much armor? I don't know. Oh, geez, that's a KV5. Are we going to be able to do anything to a KV5? Let's see. Boop, 30. Oh, hey, we did 36 to him and 36 to... It's symmetrical, at least. It's symmetrical damage. KV5 is moving in. The Sturv M4257 is about to take on the KV5. He's kind of hurt, and I figured, hey, maybe you and I can tag team this guy. You can go around him. We can both take one hit, and this guy says, nah, I'm not really interested. I'm not into it. And he runs off. Then he turns around, and I'm thinking, all right. Here we go. KV5, what can we do? Here he comes. Uh-oh, he's got a friend. Well, clearly we're not going to circle the KV5 when we also have a T20 to take on. I'm going to try to put... Nope. Oh, good, Artie. And then dead. The M44 hit me too. Why wouldn't he? I wanted to show you that last part because this thing is very vulnerable to arty, like most light tanks are. Not light tanks, medium tanks with low armor on there. So there you go, a whole 72 damage with the mighty derp. I didn't even try the AP round in there anywhere. So you may have a better experience with that. I hope you do. I just found that gun to be not very useful, and on a big open map like this, really, really difficult to get anything done with it. I suppose if you're on a city map and running around against a bunch of tier 6s and you didn't have tier 8s in there, you might have a really good time, kind of like a slightly mobile, less hard-hitting KB2. I don't know. So let's look at the next example, though, where we're not using that silly gun. For the second example, we are here on whatever it's called, Mountain Pass. See, I get confused because in the files it's called Caucasus, and now it's Mountain Pass. I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird thing that programmers do. They'll name things, they'll have a naming convention, and then I don't know who gets a hold of it, maybe the developers or the whoever, and they decide to call it something else for the game, but they leave the old files in there with the weird name. Take a look at it. Even the tanks are all goobered up like that. And nobody ever wants to go back and sort that all out and fix it. All right, we are on Mountain Pass. So I guess Caucasus is too hard for people to say. Decent mobility. Here we go. We're going to go up to the corner. This is an only tier 6 game. Quite a few TDs. I don't expect a lot to be up here other than I really don't want to see the KV2, and unfortunately he shows up. But the mediums I can handle, and what we're going to show you here is managing that reload and only coming out when you're ready to shoot and trying to trade better than the lighter or smaller guns will do. So we just come around here and take a look. There we go. So this guy's trying to cross and get a little snap-a-lap-a-ding-dong. 267 is nothing to scoff at. So we're going to just hang out until we're reloaded. There we go. So let's see if we can get another shot. No, he doesn't want to come. Pretty good spot right here. Guys try to cross. You can catch him coming around the corner. Shoot him and miss. There you go. That even with this more accurate gun at .38 to start with, plus your bonuses, it can be difficult to hit things. Oh boy. And I bounce. So I bounce off the KB2. That is quite unfortunate. It's a decent mantlet on that thing. I really do not want to joust with the KB2 too much. So I don't want to poke around while he's staring in there. There we go. So he's made a move. What I was doing right there was just trying to put my gun around the corner enough to get vision and then get back as soon as possible. Look how big the dispersion is. That's massive. And we sneak one in. All right, so RNG is my buddy. KB2's coming up, and I'm thinking, oh, is he really going to come up that ramp? He's not looking at me. I need to back out, though, because if he does, I just want to take a little sneaky shot. I'm a little bit worried he might try to snipe my hatch or the top of my turret, but he moves over to that way. So now we're reloaded, and we're going to start looking for a shot on this guy. And we missed him that time. And that's the difficulty with this gun, is these kind of moving out and snapshots can be a bit of a crapshoot. It took a little too long to aim, but I got it in there. I also know that his gun is not very accurate, so he's working with some of the same issues that I have. He's got to wait a little while to get a good firing solution as well. So he moves, and I shoot, and he hits me, right? So he's ready. RNG finally helps him out. So bad trade. He gets 151 off me. Try to hit him again. There we go. And we bounce. Oh, geez. And these are all APCR rounds. The KV-1S has a decent turret. I expect it to bounce a little bit more. There we go. So there's the Easy 8 showing up. We're going to do the same thing. Now we have a multi-bogey environment out there. It's even more important on picking when to come out and take a shot and trying not to expose. And I've got to wait till I'm reloaded. I'm certainly not going to stand in there. Just come out while I'm reloading. There we go. So I'm able to back out before that happens. Easy 8 is coming forward. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a shot. I just basically let him get that shot to trade. It wasn't really a great idea. I probably didn't need to do that. But I thought as long as the KB-1S is in the background right there, and that was letting them have a shot, that was a bad idea right there. And now we've got the Su-100 has showed up. Good news here is he's actually moved to the left, exposed himself. I can get a shot on him without exposing myself to the Easy 8 or the KB-1S too much, and I miss. I really goober that shot up. I'm hoping the AT-8 can take on the KV-2. I have some snipers back there. We're reloaded, and we're going to try to sneak a shot. There we go. Artie comes in. I know he's stunned. That's going to hurt his chances to hit me. There's another shot. Let's see if we can get in here and kill him off. Oh, we could have. If we could have got a pin A little bit rough. That is a little bit rough. Easy 8's poking out. And try to trade against him. There we go. Oh, and we miss. We miss. It was the right idea, just did not happen. Notice I'm back behind the cover and I've got to wait for my shell to get reloaded. Sometimes the armor works, man. You know, a little bit of angle right there. And I'm working against the same thing on the Easy 8. Working on it. I should have probably pickled that shot off. Now I'm down to regular AP. Now I'm going to push in and see if I can't start working on these guys. I'd really like to get rid of the KB2. There we go. Just kill him. And now I'm thinking, oh geez, I'm in big trouble. I think if the 100 would have just squared up, I'd have been in really bad shape. We kill him off. And now they're both one-shots. That's one thing about this 240 alpha gun at this tier. The Easy 8, if you had an Easy 8 and you were trying to pop out and kill a 177 hit point guy, you need quite the high roll to make that happen. But for me, it's pretty much an automatic kill on this guy. So I'll just move in and take him down. 1,450. The M44, I'm not really sure why he's there. I guess he's there because he was running away from Cap. That was probably a good move on his part because the Cap's getting overrun. So good on the Artie if you're using W. You got to love it. The WZ's down there. I don't know where he is. Take a quick peek to see if he's just sitting there staring and then decide to cross, and we'll go ahead and get some damage off the M44 right here. He's trying to turn on me. Just sneak around and shoot. Hellcat comes in and finishes him off. And the other buggy has pushed across the bridge and is getting beat up over there, and he ends up dying. I think pretty soon. Oh, maybe I get the shot. I don't remember, guys. I do not remember. Let's speed this thing up. Oh, as I recall, I might have had a shot on him. I don't remember what happens here, to be honest, guys. Does he come off that thing? I don't remember. Yes, he does come off of it. Nearly dies. Goes dark. Easy 8 wants to kill him. Comes off. I'm thinking I might get that last shot. And does it happen? No. 30-45. Got him while he was falling off of the cliff. Fantastic. Right there. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, let's wrap this thing up. All right, what to say about the buggy in summation? It's below average. It really is. It's not a terrible grind. There are worse tanks in the game. So you can do okay in it. The problem is that it competes with some legends. The Easy 8, the Cromwell, the T-34-85, which are all very good mediums at Tier 6. Tier 6 has a lot of really pretty good tanks in it. Especially on the medium side, some of those tanks are quite good. This one does not stack up to them. Its calling card is the High Alpha, so that's a nice thing for taking out near deads. When it does hit a Tier 8 and pens, it can punish him. It does have the pen, especially with gold, to do so if it needs to. But the rest of the package, the gun handling, the armor, the setup is not great. So I'm gonna call this one below average. I'm not saying to avoid it. I would try it, and it may be that you love the derpy, big, short-barreled, hard-hitting cannon, and that might be a lot of fun. I'll probably revisit that when I start working on the Hunter Battle Challenge. It is going to require a much more careful kind of gameplay, and it will be frustrating because I'm sure you'll find yourself in positions where you just can't make it work because that gun is kind of very niche. But I find the rest of the tank to be a similar kind of thing, especially with the inaccuracy of the gun. However, if you can manage it, i.e. that last game that I had where you can do a really good job of shot selection, a good job of trading, not saying that I did a great job all the time, but better than your enemies who are facing you, then you're going to be dropping that sweet 240 alpha on people. But I would say overall it's a below average Tier 6 medium tank. That's all I've got for the review on the buggy. Good luck out there, guys, and look for my CS44 next.